selection of roguelites, survival management titles, as well as some new content patches for awesome games. All this and more coming up in this video. Let's begin with Donut Arena, an action roguelite that puts you in the midst of gladiatorial combat. Fight to please the king by having to kill your opponents and pander to the crowd, all in the quest for donuts, with a variety of weapons and upgrades as well, looking like one which has gone under the radar from March. The developer of Baby Goat Billy did reach out to me, and since I do like roguelite deck builders, I thought I'll try to help by showing this off. To be completely honest, I'm not really a fan of the 3D assets used in this game, but the deck building and progression elements are interesting enough, where it is framed like a traditional turn-based RPG with the behind-the-back camera, with some interesting skills and abilities, making this of interest. Our first management title of interest is Sheltered 2, which released the Pets and Pests update, adding these elements to this post-apocalyptic survival game. Imagine running Fallout Shelter but less cartoony and more grimdark, and you get the idea, where this expands upon the ideas of the original from 2016. This adds pet dogs, cats and chickens, and unfortunately plague-carrying rats as well, adding another layer to this title. If you enjoy tower defense games like me, I do think that Spirits of the Elements TD will be one of interest, a grid-based title, which, interestingly, chose to use hexagons instead of the more traditional squares. This does really bring me back, giving me vibes of tower defense custom maps in Warcraft 3, but of course somewhat polished and modernized for the current era, so if you love this subgenre, do pick this up. An interesting looking management title that I've had my eye on is Dino Nest, one where you're raising a colony of such creatures, adapting and evolving to survive. The art style is not the best, and it's almost comically cartoony, but the underlying management systems do seem interesting, since in addition to the basic requirements of food, shelter and water, you're able to explore and even take on other dinos. This was released out of early access after about a year, with more free content updates to come, so if it looks neat, do pick it up. A wonderful city builder title is Per Aspera, having you colonizing and terraforming Mars, where this latest DLC, titled Blue Mars, literally allows you to turn the red planet blue. It adds large water bodies to the planet, with the associated infrastructure and utility such as ports and shipping routes, making this even better. Some of you might not know this, but ever since the release and subsequent popularity of Squid Game on Netflix, there have been a number of games copying that exact concept to various degrees of success, most of which are just horrible junk cobbled together from Unity assets, which I have filtered out for you, but it was a matter of time before someone eventually got it right, and such is the case with Bounty Game. Again, it's not the most original name, concept, or even aesthetic with the green tracksuits, but it does look like a fairly well-made platformer battle royale in the vein of something like Fall Guys. My concern with this is the player population, where games can host up to 50 players at a time, but with it peaking at about 200 players as of recording, this is a concern, so let's see if they manage to get some momentum. Surprise! I don't think any of you expected to see my life as an archaeologist show up, since this is a game from way back in January this year, but it recently popped up on Steam for me since one of my Steam friends gave it a recommendation, so game discovery on that does have its upside as well. This is a roguelite clicker title with simple but effective pixel art, reminding me of You Must Build a Boat, where your adventurer moves forward, fighting monsters and seeking treasure. As is modern roguelite design, there are plenty of upgrades and progression systems in between runs, where I was pleasantly surprised to have discovered this and am very happy to share this with you folks. One of my top 10 games of the year from 2018 was Northgard, a 4X RTS title with an impressive Viking theme, which, surprisingly, has done very well for the developer in an era where everyone is screaming that the RTS is dead. Now, 4 years after release, their latest free update, named Sword and Solace, is live, mainly focusing on quality of life improvements and some additional revamps. This has a full multiplayer ranking system like what you would find in League, revamping that to ensure a fairer distribution of players, and did rework the military option as well, along with the expected balancing changes and bug fixes, but I'm just happy that this is still getting updates after all this time.
Entrenched within the very bowels of the earth, rots an ancient abyss. The Forgotten Depths.
Elder Souls was an awesome Souls-like boss rush title from last year, releasing a free update titled Depths of the Forgotten.
A crippling malcontent. And a king consumed with the elongation of his own hollow existence. For the deepest depths are calling.
A free update that adds 1 new region, 3 new bosses, as well as more weapons, abilities and lore is amazing, so this takes the number 1 spot. For more Souls-like titles, watch these videos and I will see you after the jump.